Hey, go to the corner. Go to the corner. Go to the corner, because you're not being nice. Go stand in the corner.
I'm going to break down exactly what this parent is doing and show you how we can be more helpful to this child in this tricky situation.
Go to the corner.
To understand what's happening here with the parent and the child, you have to understand the body brain. It's important to know that the survival state is the first part of our brain that develops. Then the emotional state, and then the executive state is not fully developed until at least 25, 26. Our survival state is where most of our physical reactions come from, like fight, flight, fawn, and freeze come from the survival state. This part of the brain takes in information and reacts in less than a second. But we cannot learn new things when we're in a survival state. Now, our emotional state is where our emotional state skills are. These tend to be our verbal reactions, the blaming, the back talking, the name calling, the no. These are all emotional state skills. When we're in an emotional state, we have a tendency to see the world as me versus you, as opposed to me and you versus the problem. We have a tendency to yell and shame, to try to make a child feel bad about how they handled a situation, as opposed to understanding the child and supporting them and building the skills to be successful in the situation next time. When a child is in an executive state, their brain is open for learning and they have access to their executive state skills, some of which would have been very helpful for this situation right here, like empathy, like impulse control, like perspective taking, like emotional regulation. So often we command kids to use executive state skills when they're in a survival state or an emotional state, and this is the kind of thing that happens. So what do?
You're not being very nice. You hit mama. You go to the corner. No, go to the corner.
Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I always give a bunch of solutions at the end of the video. But this part of the video is the perfect part of the video for you to empathize with the fact that you don't know what else to do. I could tell you that what this parent did in this video was wrong. I could tell you all about why it was wrong. But that doesn't give you something else to do to be successful next time you're in this situation and your child bites or hits and you don't know what else to do. And you would probably end the video feeling frustrated, defeated. And the next time you're in this situation, you would probably just do what you did last. And then one of two things would probably happen. You would either blame yourself and beat yourself up about it and talk badly about yourself, or you would blame other people and blame maybe your partner, or blame me and talk badly about me or your partner. Either way, you're using emotional state skills and you're not moving towards problem solving and learning how to do better next time. And absolutely no shame towards this parent. This is very typical behavior for us adults. I mean, most of us grew up with our adults reacting to us and disciplining us from their emotional state or their survival state skills. And so that's all we really learned. We don't really have a lot of executive state skills in our tool belts when these situations pop up. And all we can think about are our emotional state skills and our survival state skills, because that's what we received, that's what we've seen, that's what we've experienced. But there's hope. We can learn to self-regulate and solve problems with our executive state skills rather than reacting to problems with our survival and emotional state skills with things like hitting, running away, name calling, shaming, blaming, yelling. We can use more connection and collaborative based approaches. Here, we're using our executive state skills. And we'll get better at it too, the more and more we practice and the more and more we teach it. Now, I'm about to give you a bunch of solutions on what you can do if your child is biting or hitting. Now, in this situation, the child is alone, so I assume the child is hitting or biting the parent. And for most adults, that behavior is really triggering. So it's likely going to drag us down to the lower states of our brain, and we're going to want to see the world as me versus you. We're going to want to punish them. We're going to want to use our survival state skills or emotional state skills. It's important for us to recognize that so that we can regulate ourselves, so we can do something like pause and take a breath. And the way to breathe that's most helpful for your body brain is a deep belly breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you want to make sure that your out breath through your mouth is longer than your in breath. Then you want to choose to see that behavior differently. Instead of seeing them as a bad kid who must be punished and is eventually going to become a serial killer, instead see them as a kid who's still learning the skills to be successful in this moment. The world didn't go their way and they don't have the skills to self-regulate and respond. And so we can be the ones to practice, model, and teach them that skill. And now that you're seeing the child is having the hard time, instead of just giving you a hard time, you're in a better position to actually help them solve the problem. Now, if they're trying to hit or bite you, the first thing you can do is stop them. And you can't say no, or I'm going to stop you, and physically stop them from biting you or hitting you. That's the first step. One of the ways children learn about boundaries is by watching us. It's okay for you to have a boundary around your child biting or hitting you. It's okay to say no to that. But you don't just stop there. Part of good boundaries isn't just communicating what's not okay with you. It's also communicating how you'd like to be treated instead, what to do instead. For this part, it's really helpful to think about what they're trying to do with their behavior and help them do it in a more appropriate, safe, pro-social way. For example, one reason a child might be biting is because they're teething and they need to bite. So in this situation, you would say, you want to bite on this, and give them something to bite. A teething ring, an apple, give them something else to bite rather than biting you. Sometimes children bite because they're overexcited and they got like cuteness aggression. You know, when you see a little baby, you just want to squish your little cheeks, and that's how they're feeling, but they don't have the impulse control to stop themselves from doing it. So sometimes they just bite. In this situation, we could say something like, you want to hug me, hug like this. You want to play like this. You want to touch me, gentle touches like this, and then practice it with them. Sometimes children bite because they're overcrowded and there's too many people in their space and they're overwhelmed. So they bite as a way to say, back up, get away from me. And in this situation, we can say something like, you want space. Say space or space, please. And you can teach them to put their hand up close to their body to communicate to the other person that they need space. Sometimes children hit because they want a toy. And in this situation, we can teach them to ask for a turn and say something like, you wanted a turn with the toy. Next time, say, turn please, or may I please have a turn when you're done, depending on the age of the child. Sometimes children bite because they're stressed. And in this situation, you want to be really aware and proactive about the stress levels of this child and help them by connecting with them. And connection has 4 components: eye contact, touch, a playful situation, and presence. If stress is the cause of the biting, we want to be very proactive about giving them that connection on the front end so they don't bite on the back end. And while we're talking about being proactive, there are so many different kinds of teething rings, even ones that are necklaces, so that no matter where they are, they have something to bite other than another person. And if they try to bite you and you say no, and they're upset by that, that's okay. Let them be upset. It's okay for them to have feelings about the boundaries that you set. Your job isn't to control their feelings. Your job is to be with them in their feelings. So they might get upset, but you can still be empathetic to their upset, their disappointment that it didn't go the way that they were hoping it would go. But as they start to regulate and they feel a felt sense of safety from you and connection and belongingness and understanding from you, you will be able to practice with them the skills that they need to be successful next time they're in the situation and they want to bite or they want to hit. Now, as you start to make this shift and you start focusing more on solutions instead of focusing on the problems like you were before, it's going to take some time for you to get it. You're not going to be perfect at it. Don't expect for yourself to be perfect at it. And your child's not going to be perfect at it as you're hoping their behavior changes too. As you're practicing different skills with them, they're going to mess up. They're going to make mistakes. And remember, those mistakes are opportunities for learning. You're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. Give yourself empathy and grace, and then extend that grace and empathy to them too. Remember, avoid being a perfectionist, be an improvementist. The goal isn't to be perfect every day. The goal is to improve a little every day. You got this.